feel like the Niners need to have that same mentality going into Foxborough this weekend when they face the Patriots. Because, I rewatched some of the Patriots game against the Broncos. First of all, the Broncos just kind of ran the football on them. It's a different Patriots team than we're accustomed to seeing. Like, just not even touching on offense, just on defense in general. Like, their front doesn't really, I guess, scare me, so to speak. But their secondary is still very good. But what I anticipate Belichick doing is trying to just remove any run game, neutralize any run game the Niners are going to bring this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I like you said, they need to be locked in. And if this was any other coach, right? If this wasn't Belichick, you'd feel so much better about this game, right? If you just watch the Patriots and you take Belichick out of the equation, you just watch the Patriots.
Yeah.
Don't put, logos on. You're thinking this is a game the Niners should be able to win. But then you add Belichick to the equation. It's hard to bet against Belichick. The guy's just been doing it forever with different players, and it just has that pause. And like you said, I wonder how much not having Mostert this week will hurt, or for multiple weeks, but especially this week, like you said, taking away the running game. You watch how hard Mostert ran last week. I don't think I've ever seen him run that. He ran angry. I mean, he's stiff arming people. He's just carrying people. That was such an impressive game by him.
It set the tone.
And then to lose him, it was like, it kind of was like the Jets game all over, right? He came out, he had the 8 yard, he's running good, and then he's gone. And you have to wonder where the run games go. Can Hasty pick up that slack? I like the way he ran. Honestly, he looked really good. And I hope they give him more carries, because I've been waiting to see him. You've been waiting to see him. He looked really good out there.
Oh, yeah, he did look really nice out there. And I'm sure we're going to see more of him this Sunday. Like you said, it's hard for me to bet against Belichick. Not that I'm saying the Niners are going to lose this game, but when it comes to, like, if I'm looking at it from the Patriots perspective, I clearly want Jimmy to beat us. Like, that would be my goal as of, like, playing defensive coordinator for the Patriots. Like, that's what my game plan would be. Now, obviously, I'm not smart enough to know how that would work out, but that would be my main focus, because my secondary is still awesome. I mean, we have, Pro Bowlers back there. And then when's the last time that the Patriots have lost like 3 in a row?
Exactly. That's what like I said, it's what scares me. It's like, this is getting into a game they have to win to keep pace with the Bills. Obviously, they don't have to worry about the Jets and even the Dolphins, right? They're starting to come around. So, if you're looking at playoffs for the Patriots, now we're getting into week 7. Now we're getting into that part where you do have to kind of start thinking about playoffs, where you are positioning, those kind of things. They lose another one, they could see themselves on the outside looking in. So that adds that extra layer of almost desperation from Belichick, from the coaching staff, from the players. Kind of like the Niners against Rams. That was, they had to have that game to stay relevant in the playoff, and they came out and they played like it. So you have to wonder if the Patriots will come with that same effort, if you will.
Yeah. And I feel like for the Patriots still, they're like very opportunistic. I don't think they're, a very great football team. I think they're pretty average. And the reason I think that is because, well, they lose, obviously Tom Brady. So that's going to change the way your team looks. But honestly, like, if the Broncos would have played a clean football game this past Sunday, they would have blew them out. Like, that first half was all Denver. And it was weird to see them. They did have a legitimate excuse. They went through this whole COVID situation, which, minimized the amount of practices. I really think Belichick is going to have his team ready this Sunday, which is another element of it being scary, because, his team is going to be ready. but they're opportunistic in a way. They do force turnovers defensively, but offensively, they do have a tendency to cough it up. And
Yeah.
where I think the Niners defense can really put the offense in a great spot is by forcing turnovers, having Cam just, try to force the ball in.
Yeah, definitely with Cam, I mean, he kind of started off the season looking really good. And you thought, okay, man, Belichick does the game. He loses Brady. He puts in Newton. Everything's running smoothly. And you've seen the last couple of weeks. And like you touched on, COVID may have hurt them last week. But he just looks, it kind of makes sense why Brady didn't look as good last season when you look at the weapons, right? N'Keal Harry still has not made that. I thought he was going to be really good, honestly, coming out of college. I live in Arizona. I watched a lot of him at ASU. He
That's
looked
right.
amazing. I thought, especially going to New England, I was like, oh my God, this is such a great spot for him. He has
Right.
not taken that step. And just kind of the weapons around him just like I said, you kind of see why Brady didn't look as good last season, right? Now he has weapons. Tampa Bay looks a lot better. And you see that with New England this season, and where the Niners, I think, have a huge, with Mostert being healthy, Verrett being healthy. You saw what they did last week against the Rams. Huge advantage, in the secondary against that team. Like you said, may force Cam to force some balls, some bad throws that hopefully they can turn into interceptions.
Yeah, totally. And it just reminds me like that they did pass on Metcalf, right? DK, and drafted Harry, right, in that first round.
You know, and that was such a good spot too. I loved
I thought it
Harry.
was a steal. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the Patriots. So when they picked him up, I was like, because I wanted to cheer like wherever he went. I was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna watch him, and then he went to Patriots. I'm like, I'm like, I can't cheer anymore. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
When that and the Seahawks can't cheer those places. Sorry, buddy.
Right.
And then their running game also has not gotten on track. I thought Damian Harris would be featured more, and he, 2 weeks ago looked really good, and then this last week he did absolutely nothing. So if I was them, I'd get him involved much more than they have. I don't know if they will. They seem to kind of just every week it's a different kind of running back that they tend to feature. And I think that pulls them out of it, right? As a running back, you want carries. Give me more carries, more and more and more. When
Yeah.
you do less, sometimes it takes them out of what they're trying to do.
Yeah. They kind of have like a running back by committee in a way, right?
Yeah.
We don't know who their feature back is.
Yeah. I'm not, and I think that hurts. I think you saw with the Niners last season, they tried to do that through a good amount. And then when they finally figured out, like, oh no, Mostert's the guy here.
Yeah.
And then they rode them pretty much, basically into the Super Bowl once they figured out, like, no, we need to give this dude the majority of the bulk. He is the guy. And I think with running backs, you kind of have to. The committee's nice, but when you find that guy that's that step above, you have to kind of feed him, and let that guy carry you. You can mix in some other guys, but pick one guy and say that's our guy. Committees tend to just, I don't know, they just don't tend to work as well. I don't think. Cam, I mean, obviously a running quarterback. They've had issues with running quarterbacks. How successful do you think they'll be kind of containing him? That's the only part of Cam's game that really scares me, honestly, is
Yeah.
is his legs. No offense to Cam, but
Right. No, it's true. Um, and it was funny because I wanted to talk about that. I think defensive line, specifically the edge. We talk about Kerry Hyder Jr., Eric Armstead, Dion Jordan, whoever's going to be playing, setting the edge, is going to play a major role this week, because I think the Patriots are going to come out with zone read, like
yeah,
putting those edges in tough spots, and then if that's not working, then they'll move on to something else. But I think they start off with that and see if they can get the running game going that way, because honestly the Pats passing offense isn't nothing really to write home about. I believe they're like, towards the bottom in the NFL in terms of passing offense. So, yeah, the Niners are going to need to tighten up and, play their gaps. I think what we saw last week was great. It's a great step in the right direction. I really have no issues with this defense figuring it out, but the zone read does scare me a little bit if it does get going. You know, you're kind of neutralizing the linebackers there as well. Fred Warner won't be able to fly around like he wants to. So, yeah, it's just kind of like playing a guessing game. And that always puts, it seems like it always puts the 49ers defense in a tough spot.
Yeah. Were you surprised going back to Rams game? I thought McVay would have Goff doing bootlegs, rollouts. Were you surprised? Like I was at like we basically didn't see any of that. I was shocked. No bootlegs, no rollouts.
Yeah.
Like on the defense that has shown that they're not as good kind of containing the edge. And that just seemed to not it was kind of weird. That was just one of the weirder kind of
Yeah.
coaching decisions.
I feel like, you know, sometimes we, you know, as coaches, you kind of like maybe, you know, obviously I'm too dumb enough to like understand, but I can only assume like if you're a coach and you know that they struggled with it in the previous game you faced them, that they're gonna, you know, obviously be ready for it this time around. So
Right.
you're trying to like, you know, play a chess game with yourself, but it ends up biting you in the butt. That's the only reason I can think of. I mean,
Just
I
kind of
I knew the Niners would be ready for something like that because like last time they played, they really struggled, and it took like, you know, a last minute drive for the Niners to pull it off.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. I don't understand it either.
Yeah. I think sometimes, like you said, coaches maybe outthink themselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. And sometimes they like, no, maybe they'll be ready. So I'm not going to do that thing. And it's like, well, like you said, I would bet almost anything, like you said, the Patriots are going to come out in a zone read and really test those edges and test and test. And if it's working, they're going to keep doing it. If it doesn't, then they'll obviously go to something else. But I mean, you're going to be shocked if you don't see that from the Patriots in this game. Like, and if
Yeah.
they end up losing, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking Josh McDaniels, like, why didn't you do the one thing that the Niners defense has shown they consistently struggle with? Like you're not
Yeah,
going to do
just
that thing.
just keep running it until they show you that they can defend it. That's kind of my reasoning with it. And you know, Cam, he isn't as fast, but he's big. You
Yeah.
know, he's like a linebacker playing quarterback. So tackling would be another huge thing here, trying to bring him down. But yeah, I think defensively we're pretty solid if we can, you know, somehow neutralize that. Getting Cam into third and longs, they really don't want to throw the ball past 10 yards. Like they don't have the receivers, the weapons, like you mentioned, to do that. And Cam hasn't, you know, he struggles still. I think he still struggles with, you know, reading defenses. I don't know if you notice this, but it's like the way he throws the football is kind of odd to me. Like he has some zip on the football, but I feel like he always like, I guess it's too much back foot for me.
Yeah. I was about to say it almost looks like he throws it's almost a
Like he's fading
fadeaway.
away.
Yeah, he throws and kind of pulls back. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. His back goes backwards. And then yeah, it is a weird, yeah, it's like a fadeaway. It's kind of the best way to describe it. He has some zip, but you're like, man, if you actually stepped into a throw,
Oh yeah,
uh,
he has the arm for it.
yeah, I don't know if he's just used to getting hit. Maybe that's a function of he just gets hit. He's used to get hit so much. Maybe it's that like he just bracing. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, I have noticed he does do that weird pullback. Is kind of the best way to describe his throwing motion.